What is good, guys? It's Rey-Jay back with another video. And in this one, I'm going to break down what's going on with NIO stock, what you should be watching for moving forward. I'm also going to talk about the overall market, what just happened with Jerome Powell giving his testimony, why he's going to be giving another testimony tomorrow, and how it could affect NIO, SPY, Tesla, and the QQQ. I'm also going to break down some more quotes from Jerome Powell that just came out, and also what the data is telling us about NIO and the markets, as we have some new news to talk about for NIO. Before I break anything down about all this information, let me just mention a couple of things. Firstly, I'm not a financial planner. Make sure you take none of this as financial advice. And don't forget about the Moomoo link. The offer ends very soon. Deposit $100. You're guaranteed 5 free stocks with a $100 cash reward. Now let's talk about NIO. What on earth is going on? So NIO was down 2.99% for the day. SPY was down, I believe, about 0.5% for the day. Tesla was down like almost 6%, 5.5% to be close. And the market got a bit of a sell off today, especially because of Powell speaking. Now, Tesla had an additional catalyst because of Barclays. But besides that, the reason the market sold off was because of Jerome Powell. That played a very big role, at least. And I'm going to break down some of the things that Powell said that caused the market to end up closing like this. But before we talk about what Powell said, let's talk about what happened with many Fed speakers and tomorrow. So for today, Powell basically gave a speech. The market sold off. And just to be exact, he was speaking in front of the House Financial Services Committee. So this is like Congress, the House Financial Services Committee. He was speaking in front of them today. But for tomorrow, okay, just when we thought Jerome Powell would just like hop away and disappear, the guy is going to be back tomorrow again. Tomorrow, Powell is going to be speaking at 10 o'clock a.m. Eastern Time. All right. Before he speaks, though, we have Waller from the Fed giving a speech. So we have a Fed speaker. We have a lot of jobs numbers coming out, initial jobless claims reports, the 4-week average of jobless claims. Then we have continuing jobless claims coming out. So they're going to be coming out 1 hour before the market opens. Then we have Bowman from the Fed speaking. We have Mester speaking. More crude oil data, lots of data coming out tomorrow. But the biggest thing for tomorrow is going to be at 10 o'clock a.m. again. Jerome Powell is going to be speaking again. But instead of speaking in front of the House, he's going to be speaking in front of the Senate Banking Committee. Let me remind you guys. Now, when Powell was speaking, the market was holding up, but there were moments where the market started selling off more. When did the market start selling off? When Powell started talking about the banking sector, when he started talking about how there could be more regulations, how the Fed could have done a better job at overseeing what was going on with Silicon Valley Bank, and just things like that. When he speaks about this, or when he has been doing it so far, the market sold off. And tomorrow, once again, he's speaking from the Senate Banking Committee at 10 o'clock a.m. Eastern Time. So this is going to cause more volatility, and he's going to be speaking for a couple of hours. I want you all to be ready for this. What did Powell say today that helped the market sell off a bit? Well, he was being more hawkish, if anything. He said he expects more rate hikes. He said the fight against inflation has a long way to go. There were other things he said. He also talked about how the Fed's going to tighten on monetary policy. It could make the recession worse for 2024. He didn't actually say that, but some people are interpreting it that way. He's implying that. He also said that we can't call this a pause. This is more like a skip, in his opinion, and the Fed never confirmed a true pause. He also said that the labor market is still tight, though there's signs that conditions are loosening. He also mentioned that once again, he sees rates going up higher by the end of the year. He said it's going to take a while to get inflation down. And basically, the jobs market is getting into better balance. He also said there are going to be losses for more banks, essentially. Not a guarantee, but it is a possibility. And he also talked about other things like that. Now, as far as NIO goes, there has been some talk about how NIO had a roundtable today for Chinese entrepreneurs, and NIO was there. We saw William Lee Bin there as well, which is a great thing for networking. But besides that, I didn't see too much news that came out. The latest piece of news that keeps on being reiterated would be this one right here, with Abu Dhabi investing more than $700 million into NIO. So that's some very, very good news that came out. That's why NIO was still performing well yesterday. But today, it wasn't enough to hold NIO up. It did sell off a bit. Volume is still at like 66 million, pretty close to average, so it's still decent on that end. But now let's break down these charts, what's going on. Well, NIO is entering this important support zone between 9 and 8.8. We're going to be watching this 8.8 to $9 area because in the morning we might see the market sell off more, which could slow NIO down. But I believe there's a good chance the market could be getting set for a bounce because of the bullish divergences developing and also because of what happened today. So after Powell finished speaking, it was right here. The market bounced. NIO went from 8.9 all the way up to about almost 9.2. So I'm predicting we're going to see something very flat tomorrow, very choppy price action, a sell off again in the morning, possibly because of Powell. And then we make it an intraday bounce later on before more moves are made. For SPY, I mean, we closed just under 435, which is not the best of signs, but you could argue that there is a potential bullish divergence developing if you look at the RSI. So I'm thinking that we might get a very, very flat open. Depends on initial jobless claims in the morning, but then when Powell starts speaking, we may see another sell-off again. We could see 433 possibly, but I think the market's going to try to hold up, and we might see a nice bounce later on. That's what I'm going to be looking for. Excuse me, looking for. And for Tesla, same thing. I mean, the thing about Tesla is it tried to bounce off the 30 minutes to 100 EMA, but it failed to do so today. I it didn't fail. It basically held above it, but it failed to continue to break out. Now, in the after hours, it's starting to break down even lower, still showing some weakness, but the RSI is still holding up at this higher level. So it's not looking bad for Tesla. I do think Tesla has a nice setup and potential to bounce, but I think there could be more selling pressure first before it ends up getting the bounce. Uh, we were looking at bounce here. It got the bounce right here, but it once again started failing in the after hours. It could change how it opens tomorrow morning. That's going to depend on a lot of factors. And then Powell could maybe cause more selling pressure again, but then we could get a bounce later on. So that's very interesting to witness. I think there could be more downside for the market first before we get a nice bounce. And then finally, for the triple Q, I mean, this thing is currently flat in the after hours. 360 is going to be major support. It's very likely it may sell off below 360 and hit like the high 350s first before this thing makes an attempt to bounce. I am still leaning more in that direction. So it is unfortunate, but it is what it is. And the best thing I could do is just be as honest as possible. So is this the end of the world? Not really, not at all. So don't really worry too much. NIO is still trying to hold up. We are getting close to a bullish cross on the 30-minute, but right now it doesn't matter too much. I think Powell is going to cause more selling pressure. Lots of choppy price action too. Once he's out of the way, then things could change a lot by Friday. I don't know what's coming out for Friday. We just have one Fed speaker. Oh no, sorry. For Friday, we have Bullard and Bostic speaking. So we have two people who tend to be more hawkish. Then we have the PMI data coming out. That's going to be very important. And besides that, after all this data comes out, things are going to cool off a bit until we have Mester speaking. So it's very interesting. I think the market has potential to rebound in the future. But for now, we're just going to be watching support and resistance, and we're going to try to be as patient as possible. Anyways, though, thank you all so much for listening. Have a great day, and please be prepared for some more selling pressure in the morning, especially when Powell is speaking. We may see NIO hit 8.8 or even lower than that, then make an attempt to bounce afterwards. And after Powell's done speaking, the market may start to pump, and then the market's going to change course after that. The market also has potential to rebound moving forward, but we have to wait and see for confirmation. Make sure you watch these different levels, see how NIO responds to them, and watch for any potential divergences that could develop. Once we get confirmation, things could change big time. The 4-hour time frame on NIO is still a little bit more bearish. It could cool off a little bit more, so we're going to be watching support. Watch the 8.8, not to mention 8.6 and all those other ones. But until then, just be patient and get ready for Jerome Powell. He's going to be speaking again tomorrow morning in front of the Senate committee. And until then, have a great day and enjoy the rest of the night. Thank you for listening. NIO to the moon as the long term is still incredibly bright. And peace out.